Lovely welcome to Beyond News, and on this episode I get to speak to a journalist that is a multiple and international award-winning journalist that carries with him more than 10 awards to his name. And this journalist is now freelancing with a lot of media institutions locally and internationally. This particular journalist has also worked with institutions such as Movie TV, Mobi TV, now Diamond TV, New Age newspaper, ENCA of South Africa, as well as Zambezi FM radio, to mention but just a few media institutions. My guest on this program is Davies Sikopo. Welcome to the program, Arthur.
Thank you so much, and great having me. It's great being on this show. I've been seeing the show. It's great being here and great being interviewed by you. I know we always chat, but I think it's good to be interviewed by you.
It's good for a journalist to be interviewed by a fellow journalist.
Exactly. Indeed.
Yeah. The Dread Man. What happened to this transformation? Like, you're now the Dread guy.
Imagine. So, the transformation, I think it's just one of those things that I think that have just come through, to make me just feel different and to look different. Yeah. So
working in South Africa, obviously, he has changed.
yeah. So somewhat, yeah. And one interesting thing about this is that, it is just natural here. I've never done anything to it. I've never gone to any saloon. I've never gone to any dreadlocks place. Yeah. It's just as natural as it is. Wow. Yeah.
How did it turn into this look? You don't comb it? What?
So I just stopped combing it. I just stopped. So I started growing hair, an afro. Then I just stopped combing. Wow. So when I go to bath, I'll just wash the hair, then remove the water. Then it would dread on its own.
How many years has it taken to get this look?
This is now 4 years.
Wow. 4 years of not combing.
Indeed.
Wow.
4 years of not going to the barber shop.
Wow. Okay. I thought it was a protest.
No. No, I think many people, of course, have misunderstood it that way.
Yeah.
Because obviously, when people are protesting, sometimes they would use certain.
They'll
features.
deny themselves certain things. Yeah,
exactly. But this is not a protest, but just something to just make me feel happy.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great to know that you have something that keeps you happy. Yes. Yeah, because journalism needs moments to be happy.
Exactly. We go through a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now let's talk about 20 years of you being in the media. How's it been?
Well, thanks so much. It has been an interesting one. So basically, I've had that passion of working in the media and especially working in TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I've always liked is handling the camera, and also I have always loved also to be in front of the camera, to be on the screen and all that. Yeah. And I think these days I'm much behind the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those days when we were growing up back in the years, so would look at certain people on that were in the media or that are in the media. That would, inspire us. People like, Frank Mutubira. I think for me, he has inspired me quite a lot. Especially, with his shows and all that. Yeah. Then also the other one that has inspired me is Alakson Intani. So with his a
great guy.
Documentaries and that's great attitude of telling that particular story using the
serious
camera.
Guy.
Yeah.
Serious guy with his work.
He would do some digging, and then the way he would narrate, it even draws you like you are there. Yeah. So for me, those are some of the people that have inspired me, and even as I was growing, so I would tell people at home that I want to be a journalist. Yeah.
You want to be like the Laxon.
Yeah. So I would even like practice. Like I've got a microphone, something like that. Yeah. Just to and fast forward when I completed school, the first thing. So I applied in different faculties and all that. So I received like three, four letters at the same time. So all of them were like accepting me to start the programs that I had applied for. One of them was a TV production. So that was in 2005. So when I just saw that, so I was like, okay, this is my main thing. So let me go for TV production. So that is how I moved back to Lusaka. So I grew up from Lusaka, but I moved a bit to go to school. So after secondary school, so then that is when I applied. Then I got back to Lusaka. That was 2005, and that is how I began my journey. So I started first going to school. Then just after I completed, even before I even completed, I was given an opportunity to join Lumbani Studios, which used to do Lumbani Time on ZNBC, that gospel show. Yeah. So I was privileged to be amongst those people behind that particular show, just producing that and filming, and Then we moved forward. Then I went to. So I know you were at Movie TV for quite some time.
Yes.
So in fact, I don't usually put Movie TV there because I was there just for like less than a week. So I was there. I was in production department. After school,
as long as you stepped foot there, you've been there.
Yeah. So I went there in production department, and my boss was Angel Piri.
Yeah.
So then afterwards, another acceptance came in for me to now do journalism. So that's how I started doing my journalism. So from that time until now, I think
that's the other I know, the one without the dreads.
Yeah. Indeed. No, but
on the cover.
I think with time, but anyway, I don't know.
No, you do what you like. I'm just saying that's the other I know.
I know.
Yeah.
So from that particular time, so I've been around. You've mentioned some of the entities that have been with the New Age newspapers in Zambia. Then we've also done like 1 year with ENCA, where we would do stories from here. I also done Zambezi FM and also some consultancy along the way as I did my journalism, and currently I do mainly with the South African Broadcasting Corporation, the SABC. So I think that's pretty much a bit about 20 years for now.
Oh, great. So in brief, how would you describe your journey? Has it been that smooth? Has it been challenging?
It has been both. I have experienced some challenging moments. I've experienced some great moments, like some very smooth moments where you like what you are doing. You feel you're doing a good thing, but obviously at some point, on the negative side, on the pressure side, you'd sometimes feel like, okay, am I doing the correct thing, or am I making it, but I think we always strive to strive to make it as we practice. So
let's talk about the positive side, the good stuff.
Good stuff.
Which stories would you look at and say, oh, these were the best moments of my journalism journey? The award-winning stories. You have more than 10 awards to your name, but among the 10 awards, which ones, maybe 2 or so, you feel deserve you amplifying a voice on?
So I've done quite a number of stories, and sometimes it gets difficult, to pick on some. But I think that there was a story that I did on. So there's this particular place in Chirundu area called Zemba Zemba. So we went there for some visit with some NGOs, just to try to see how the people live around there. So we found this water situation, like a water crisis. So this particular place had a dam, but that particular dam, I think, was washed away. So now people had to like walk kilometers and kilometers just for them to go and draw water. And it wasn't very far from Kafue River. I think it was about 10 kilometers from Kafue River, but but they would still walk kilometers to go and draw water. And at a point where they were drawing water, so it was a very small well, and there's like a plate in there. Then so when drawing water, one has to like go down there, then starts pouring in a bucket, and for a bucket to get full. It will take like 10-15 minutes, and then you find that it's a whole stretch of people like that have lined up there, to
take almost half a day.
In fact, according to the people that I talked to, this other lady was like Tinabwera Mairo, and that was around 11 the following day. It was like Tinabwera Mairo kuno, so apamaye ndende takwanisa tap up. So I think that I've got some videos which I think people would attest to. So they would walk, and so then sometimes they would leave their homes and go and camp at that particular point, so at least they can just draw water, and then they would also worry the other side of life. You say, no,
exactly. How do you work?
Yeah, and they would go there obviously with their children, and mostly the girl child suffers in this, and the woman suffers in this. So even when we are looking at some of these even like effects of climate change, women suffer much in that. So for them to be staying at that particular borehole, the hand dug well and all that for a long, like fluid accumulates around HIV matters. So I others that I've done.
Was one, it guaranteed safe drinking water.
Yes.
Saved the people from potential waterborne diseases.
Exactly.
Arising from the scarcity of clean water.
Yeah.
And also possible attacks for those that were sleeping at the same place and all that. That's good. Let's now talk about the HIV story that took you places.
So my passion around the media has been mostly around health and the environment. So I love doing these stories around because I think I get that fulfillment, and because it is my passion, so I think I have an easy ride over them. So I have done stories on health. So amongst them, is a story of this young man who, in fact, by then he was still, I think, a boy and a teen, and going into being a young man. So he was born with HIV, so at some point he got very sick. He lived most of his childhood like in and out of the hospital. But I think after having being talked to by some counselors, some organizations, and all that, the young man picked up and just developed that courage, and started even talking to the friends. So I remember the time that I was doing the story with him, he was like he wasn't so he had never done an interview, so he wasn't so free and so open and all that. But I tried to talk to him, and then of course we had to get consent, for me of us to do a story with him. So his story, I think, was outstanding, and at some point I had an interview, like sort of just marrying together with that particular story with the ministry, and the ministry was quite happy, and to some extent they started engaging the young man. As we speak today, he's one of those that active advocates around HIV matters. So I did that particular story and shared it around, and so that particular story also got attention of authorities, and they started engaging this this young man and others as well. So others also started coming out, and I also interviewed another one. Then there was another again interesting story of this young lady. She is HIV positive, and then she got sick at some point, and like very sick. It should have been maybe anemia or something. Is it an anemia or pneumonia or something like that? And then, so she became blind. So it is an aspect of one is HIV positive, and then they get very sick. They lose their parents, and they lose their sight. And for some time they were bedridden. They couldn't walk. They couldn't do anything and all that. Yeah. So I did that particular story just to amplify the voice that even when you have got this particular, illness or condition and all that, you can still make it. So that particular story as well had received, a commendation and a support, and I'm glad. The young lady is doing very fine, and even running, some organization, where she would encourage, young people and all that. So for me, those are some of the stories that I've done that have, I think, seen, a light at the end of the tunnel, and that recognition has been given, and some of these stories have made me sort of travel places because of the stories that I could, the angles that I could tell and all that. So at some point I was picked by the UN, under UN Ops, to go and attend the UN General Assembly in New York. After seeing the stories that I did around, HIV and TB.
Was that the trip to New York, the one we're seeing on screen?
Yes. So that was a trip to New York. Yes. So that was at the UN General Assembly. So that, in fact, this time around, I had already stepped out from the main building. Yeah.
Oh, great.
So for me, this one was one of those, great moments for me in my career, because covering this highest decision-making body in the world and all that, being able to attend where presidents from literally all parts of the world are gathering and all that, and just telling that TB story. For me, this was like one of those
great moments,
in my life. Then there's another story that I also did around tuberculosis and HIV as well. So is this other he is there, and he has continued doing advocacy as well. So he was okay. So then he got he didn't know that he had TB. Yeah. So he just had those symptoms. So when at some point he got very sick, and he was told that mwinamanzi kumtima and all that. So they call it pulmonary something TB and all that. Yeah. So where like fluid accumulates around the heart and all. Yeah. So that was also another story that I have told, and that story again I also ended up including that particular story in one of the documentaries that I did for an international organization, because this particular person had received help from the Global Fund.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so had received help from the Global Fund, and was even privileged to sit on the Global Fund like committee here representing I think it should be the TB community. Is it the HIV or TB community? Yeah, but one of those. Yeah. So it was also that positive story, I think, that I've seen or I've done that sort of as gained recognition out there. And and I think most of these stories have taken me places.
Great job.
Yeah, I've taken me places. I once attended, the AIDS conference in Amsterdam. That was my first one to attend. Then the following year, I attended also the HIV conference in Mexico. All owing to some of these stories that I've done. Around, and it is not like maybe you are being handpicked or something like that, but it is
the impact of your work.
Impact of your work, and mostly would most of these like conferences would submit our works. Yeah. So they get to like
review the works.
Review the works, yeah. And to be one of those to be selected from across the world and all that, you'd have maybe like 2 from Africa, you have 1 from, Asia, just like that. Yeah. So for me, those are like great opportunities that, I would always treasure. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, they're great opportunities for sure, and also maybe for also increasing your network.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. And, great job.
Yeah, thanks. And I think from there, I think we created networks. Mostly around TB, HIV and malaria and all that. Yeah. Then I also got to I had an opportunity, to work with this organization that deals with deals with HIV/AIDS, TB and malaria, because of the work that I did, and because of the passion that I had, in this particular field. Yeah.
Oh, I love the word passion.
Yeah.
Journalism desires that we put so much passion to the work, and then the work gets done so well.
Indeed.
Yeah. Aside from the inspiring and great stories that you did so well, there are other stories that raised perception that you were so much negative in terms of addressing matters to do with your nation, Zambia.
Indeed. So I have been doing so. Besides my passion around health and environmental reporting, so I'll do general news reporting, mostly for the SABC and for others that would require maybe my services and all that. So you'd tell this particular story. Yes, of course, it may seem to be negative on the country, but I think it is just reality. We are indebted. We are in debt. When you tell that particular story, like you pick this particular commoner, or you go to the ground and maybe pick this particular. Let me not use the word commoner, but
random interviews from off the street. You just meet traders.
You meet traders, or you meet somebody who is literally affected by the economic situation. You profile that particular person. You do a story about that. You ask them. When you go to the clinic, what happens when you are sick? Then they tell you that we are given prescriptions. Even when I'm given a prescription, I don't have money to buy that medicine. I don't work. That is the truth. But when you project such stories, others will say that you're sort of like you're more into doing negative stories about the country. Yeah. But that is just a fact. And for me, I think what is of fulfillment to me is that when I do a story, regardless of how people would look at it, for as long as I feel that this story is objective, for as long as I feel that this story is factual, this story is truthful, I think my conscience sets me right. Yeah. I'm in the right, frame with my conscience. Yeah.
Yeah. What is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. Yeah.
And so I've done political stories. So at some point with the SABC, so I would mainly do with the radio service called Channel Africa. So would do interviews with different people around. So at some point, like the time that the current administration was in opposition, so you'd cover Aka in Hichilema, you'd cover the Secretary General, and these used to give those bunch of stories whereby they hit the nail on the head to say, okay, but the government is not doing this, the government is not doing this. Yeah. So the other side, would feel that you are, you are
against them.
Yeah, you are against them, and you are pro the other
government.
Side. Yeah, and you are just trying to dent the image of
while giving the other side political mileage.
Exactly. Yeah. So some of those are the stories that would paint some of us, the negative way. to say that this guy seems like he just loves, negative stories about the country. And one thing that people, I think, may need to understand is that news, obviously, I think most of the times, I think what makes news, I think, is
controversy.
Yes, controversy, and sometimes the negative aspects. So I mean, when something
the other side is PR, obviously.
Exactly, and in fact, for me, journalism is, I think, writing what somebody may not want to hear.
Yeah.
So when you write the truth about this particular thing,
this corrupt person.
Exactly. And this particular side may not want to hear that particular truth that you have written. And when you turn and write the other side again, the other side again will not want to, listen to, or to see what you have written, So at the end of it, or at some point, you are seen to be, okay, but and
where do you stand? Are you ruling or opposition?
Exactly. And I think this is one thing that is, I think having a very negative, impact on the media. Yes, on the profession. Yes. So why wouldn't you cover, this particular side? Why would this particular side only want them to be covered, by you? And I think politicians, get to our profession and divide us.
Yeah,
you
they
and
should
I
give us the space to work.
Exactly, you and I have been colleagues for a long time.
Yeah.
So why would I, hate you because you are seen to be covering this particular person? Obviously, I mean, there's a way in which you relate with that particular, aside and all that. So why would I want to hate you? So it is only these people that would come in and try to paint us the other side. Yeah. So, but all in all, there are stories that you do, and you will not be taken in the context, or that you put up that particular story. Yeah. So one time I did a story, and that particular story, in fact, when I even did it, I think I was even fearing for myself at some point. So I did a story on the issue of LGBTQ. So, of course, in Zambia, it is
it's a no talk about story.
Yes. So, but the entity that I subscribe to, they take those stories, and I mean, these are stories that they find to be okay. So at some point, I did this particular story of around LGBT. So in fact, it is that time that they we saw people marching along Greatest Road. Yeah, and then they had placards, and then they had all those was it. So I did sort of talk to a few over that particular march and all that. So some of them they told me that I think now we see that we are getting we're getting free, and all what we want is to be free, and so for me, I'm a journalist, and I think I just have to project what these people are saying,
giving them space.
Yes, giving them space. They said it themselves that they want to be free. But obviously, here in Zambia, obviously,
there's no freedom.
There's no freedom. So even when I was doing that story, I had to think twice, and I had to ask my boss, and say, but that is what they're saying, and that is how I did the story. So I did that story, and it went and it aired. So I even tried to talk to the government, but they weren't receptive to the story that I was doing. So I even started fearing for myself, say, since this story has run, and me, I'm in Zambia, though it has run in a different country, but I'm in Zambia, so I might get into trouble with the law and all that. But what was I doing? I think I was merely doing my job.
How did you get off that fear?
So it took me some time. At some point, even when you are inside the house and then you hear somebody knocking at the gate, I would develop that, that you would say, so now and all that. So I would have that fear. Sometimes you're in the house then, and you know, our police officers, you know, use these Randy Cruisers. Then you hear like a sound of the Randy Cruiser outside. So you would start, so I gave it some time, and in fact, so even when I posted the story on my YouTube account, so I had to restrict the age at some point. So yeah, I had to restrict the age at some point because I just didn't want it to sort of like what's this and all that. Yeah, but I think it just went and just
died
just like that. Yeah. And okay. I think so I got off the hook of it.
Wow, great experience shared so far. We'll be going on a short break, and as we return, we talk about you now facing harassment during your course of duty, as well as you being detained by police at one point while on duty. How did that happen? What was the impact of those incidents on you? But first, let's take a small break, and as we return, we get to talk about the most horrifying experience in the field of Davies Sikopo as a journalist. We take a break. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond News, and my guest is Davies Sikopo, a freelance journalist operating within Zambia but contributing stories beyond Zambia, and in particular South Africa is his major focus for now. Arthur, let's talk about your being harassed by political cadres while on duty.
Yes, so this is one of the issues that, you know, would at some point, think that, would make one, think that, am I doing the right thing, or
am I a criminal?
Am I a criminal? Should I continue, as a journalist, or should I, quit, or should I find something else to do? So in obviously our line of duty as journalists would cover different political parties and all that, and mostly like for some of us that you're like alone doing everything, like the political stories and all those things. Yeah. So you would go to each and every place where that okay, this side there's something happening. Yeah. So I covered, the story of the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD. So they had a court case. So when the court case was sort of like so when the court case was sort of like when the judge had sort of like adjudicated and gave the other camp, like authority and all that over the other one.
So it's that case of the leadership wrangle among MMD cadres. I think that should have been the time of Davies Mumba.
Yes, Davies Mumba and Felix Mtati, and Nakashinda. Yeah. So I was at the court, did a story, and it aired at the following day in the morning, and then the other camp decided to also hold, a press briefing. So I went to go and cover this particular press briefing. So
Kablonga.
Yes, in Kablonga. Yes. So while the briefing was going on, I think everything was okay. So I think towards the end of the briefing, so I like stepped out a bit, and I was standing like a bit outside the tent. So then this particular gentleman comes, just grabs my hand and says, Yama, no. So let's talk for a minute. So me, so I have witnessed like violence, mostly from political party cadres. you'd cover in a rupiah band and all that. And so then there's one famous picture which I used to use on a TV show that I used to do on Mobi TV called Meet the Press, where, you know, Thomas and Sam was being dragged and
harassed,
all that, harassed, you know, by MD guys. And even him, the time that I think him and others, I think it was Patson Chilemba and all that. I think I can't remember very well. So would see them, you know, they used to work for the Post. So and the Post that particular time, you know, was sort of like an enemy to the MMT. Yeah. So we would witness some of these things, you know, whereby you are journalists, you know, all of you are journalists there, and, you know, maybe you're just chatting, then, you know, this cat has just come and then just come and drag one of you. So you don't know what is happening. So they just drag you, then the next thing you hear that, no, So for me, when this guy came, so I was like, it clicked in my mind. Say,
you know that you couldn't go away anywhere.
Yeah, so I was like, I think these guys, I think, up to, you know, no good.
Yeah. So
I was standing with some other gentlemen. So I insisted so that we speak from there. I was like, no, I think I can't have a minute, but we can talk from here. So then the guy was like, teche kumbuyo. And then before I could realize, you know, I was being surrounded. And then the man that I was standing with, he was blank. He didn't know what was happening. But for me, when I looked around, I know that I could see, you know, these, you know, thuggish faces and all that. So they decided sort of like want to now start dragging me. So I told this guy that I was with, these guys are trying to drag me behind, and obviously I know it's a matter of being beaten. So then he said, are you sure? And then I said yes. So they started dragging me. So I started resisting. Yeah. So I said then, not until I sort of like came out of you know, his hand, then I quickly left where I was standing there, then went into the tent, and then you know, went to where, you know, the press briefing was sort of, in fact now it got done, and the leaders were there and all that. So I ran to their leaders, you know, say that, you know, I don't feel safe here. Then, you know, but then it was Nevers Mumba. So Nevers Mumba said, no, you're just okay. He was with his vice president. No, you're just okay. This is a very safe place for journalists and all that. So I was like, no, I don't think you understand what I'm talking about. And the same guys came through.
They followed through, yeah.
Yeah, they followed me through. And so we had other journalists there. So colleagues from Kalemba, I think that time, I think Kalemba was just in its infancy, took even some pictures. So there's a picture of this, like the thugs are being seen like clearly in a picture and all that, dragging me, and they were dragging me in the face of, you know, their leader and all that. So colleagues from the media, so I think he tried to stop them a bit. So then colleagues from the media now are the ones that now whisked me away from there, and you know, took me into a car. So there were a lot of vehicles there. So I couldn't use the vehicle that I came with, because I mean, and they were
at that point you just needed a quick move out.
Exactly. And so colleagues started to sort of like try to talk to them. Then as others were whisking me away, and just took me to one of the cars, opened. Then I went behind and hid like underneath there. And then it was a tint, so they couldn't sort of like see, So the gentlemen there, the media colleagues, you know, quickly came. Others quickly came through and just got into the car, and so that, you know, just to disguise, like, you know, there's no one who has entered, and, you know, it's just us, and the vehicle is full. So if you want to search us, you can't search it because obviously Maona Takwan and all that. So that's how I was sort of like whisked away from from that particular incident. And I went to report to police, but obviously nothing was done. But even when, you know, the images were clear, and even when, you know, the harassment was taking place, you know, in front of, you know,
other people, witnesses around.
Exactly, So for me, that was one of those things that, you know, that was so disturbing to me, and At some point, I tried to reach out to
the party leadership.
Yeah, but so after introducing myself, I said, no, my name is Arthur. I remember that incident. Okay, I'll call you. Until now, I think.
Will they call you back?
Yeah, yeah. So that was one of those moments where I felt, not appreciated. I felt,
threatened.
Yeah, threatened. Yeah. And once they just pull you behind, whatever they can do.
What happens?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was one of those, moments. I think dark moments for me. As a journalist practicing. Yeah.
Let's talk about you at court, doing a story from the courts, and you have this encounter with the police, and they briefly, detain you at the courts. What happened?
Yes. So I was at the courts covering the case of Hakainde Hichilema, that time when he was charged with treason.
Yeah.
The case was going on inside. Then obviously, as journalists, at some point, you'd sit outside. So for us, I think we sat outside, most of us. Then, so for me, I was now doing a script. Then after doing the script, then now I started narrating. So I was doing a voiceover. So I secluded myself from the rest of the media guys and sat somewhere. So I started doing the voiceover. So when I was doing the voiceover, so nearby there were two police officers. So they passed first, they went, then I continued. They came back again, then they had me do the voiceover. So they just came, and said, "Mr. China, but I'm recording a voiceover. I'm a journalist." No, manje, why we come back in the Edgar? So, but I'm doing a narration, and this is my job.
Yeah.
So before I could realize, the guy goes for my laptop. Try to get my laptop. Then I was like, no, but you can't. I produced my ID. The guy has already grabbed the laptop. No, so what I did was that I tried to push it like this so that it closes, because it has got a password. Yeah. So luckily it closed, as we were sort of like just trying to wrestle it from them. So they dragged me. There were two of them, so a lady and a gentleman, and took me to one of the guard rooms and
cells.
Yeah. So they went there, then they were like, no, we want to see what you were doing. So I was like, I told you, I'm a journalist. I even produced my press pass. In fact, the press pass, which has got a death stamp for the police. And the police commissioner, signs in that. I said,
there's an East one.
Yes, there's an East press card. And I said, this is my press card. And you can clearly tell. If you want, you can call that number there, and also you can. So now the next thing, now when you got there, they went for my phone now. So my phone equally was locked, so they went for my phone, and so I couldn't now call anyone. So the laptop is grabbed, and then so where I went there, where I was taken there were other officers and all that. So they made me sit now there. Now started explaining to them. I explained, but they couldn't hear. I stayed there for over an hour, and my deadline was already like approaching.
Going by, yeah.
So, and my boss down in South Africa was waiting for the story. So, but I was still, and he tried to call. So
they couldn't reach you.
He couldn't reach me and all that. Yeah. So I was there for over an hour, just being interrogated. What about this? What about? So I was like, but this is just my work. Yeah. I said, you call the number there, or can you give me the phone so that I call the PR office, your PR office, so that you get cleared over this. So they started making all those calls and all those radio calls of those. Yeah. Not until after an hour, that is when they said, okay, Tagambana now, so mungamule kashtabwaj aenda. I was very drained at that particular point. I was very drained, and it is a moment where these are law enforcement officers that are supposed to know how to deal with journalists. If I didn't have maybe
an ID, would have been a different story.
And this is an ID which is even signed and issued by they themselves as a police
and cleared by the police.
So you could tell that it's either these officers do not know what they're doing, or whatever they're doing, you know,
They're doing stuff out of excitement.
Exactly, yeah.
You know.
So you wouldn't know. So that is after after an hour or so, then that is when they gave me the that cleared me. So by the time I was going out, you know, everything was, you know, done, and you know, the court had even, you know, ended and all that, and you know, colleagues had already gone, and so for me that is also an incident where, you know, I saw, you know, harassment, you know, not from, you know, cadres or, you know, others in communities where we go to, but you know, from law enforcement officers themselves. Yeah. So for me, that was one, you know, incident that was breaking to me.
Then you leave the courts. What happened? Were you able to tell the story? At what point did you have the courage to tell the story?
So I think the only courage I had was just to tell, you know, my superior what happened. I never even wrote a story or anything like that. I just told my boss to say, this is what had transpired, and that is why you saw my quietness and all that. Yeah, so my boss just, you know, consoled me and said, no, some of these things, you know, they happen.
They happen in the field of duty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was that. Yeah.
Well, quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
Quite so unfortunate. Now, after all this happened, we also get to you receiving call threats. Was it in relation to the story, or there was a different story of which you were being threatened on call?
So for calls, they were sort of like, so I've gotten a calls like for a long period of time. You know, even at, you know, at Mobi TV, you would get, you know, calls just from strange numbers. And by then we used to have, you know, what we used to call private numbers, you know, restricted number, whereby, you know,
you don't know the caller.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know the caller and all that. So you just receive a call to say, "Yo, mache, usiwenza bunoshita yako, otherwise, so zakazio." At some point,
whatever you happen to you, you will not know what. You will not know what will strike.
Yeah.
What will strike you?
Exactly. Then others, you know, are very, you know, you could tell that this one is a very educated, you know, person. Yeah. So they'll say, no, we've seen you. We know what you are doing. So
we are watching.
Yeah, we're watching you. So, but be very careful, because that is just a job.
Yeah.
So, and you know, you don't know these people. So at some point, you know, you get to, you know, have these fears. Yeah. Yeah. You get to have these fears, you know, yourself. And then at some point so I don't know, but I think I got sort of some intrigue, I think, just, you know, in my head, you know, kicked in and all that. At some point I would feel that my calls were not very safe. Yeah, I would feel that my calls were not very safe. So, and when I'm talking to people, more especially if I'm talking to a friend, so sometimes I'll say, okay, I'll call you back, or it can be by WhatsApp or something. Then let's use WhatsApp, yeah. So until after, I think after about 2 months or so, I received this call. So it was a call that was coming, you know, from the Zambia police. So they were like, no, is this Mr. Sikopo? And that was on a Friday. I think around 15. Is that Mr. Sikopo? Yeah, this is Mr. Sikopo. So they were like, okay, I'm so calling from, you know, police headquarters. So we want you to come through. When can you come through? So I looked at the time. Then I was like, okay, this is Friday. No, there's a matter that we are looking at, and we have noted that you are one of those, you know, WASIs that we may need to, you know, question and all that. So I was like, okay, I'll do so. They're like, when can you come through? So I was like, okay, I can come through next week. They're like, no, be definite. When can you come through? I was like, okay, maybe around Tuesday. No, let's make it Monday. So I tried to argue around there. No, Monday. So okay, Monday, 10 hours. So you come through to the second floor, just there by the, what do they call that? Where they do mostly where they do the tech thing and all that, where they investigate, ICT,
the cyber
exactly,
department,
the cyber department, yeah. So because they had informed me, so one thing that I did was I went with a small phone to the police. But anyway, I went with a small phone. So they demanded that, no, this is not the phone that we want. So I got confused. Anyway, I didn't get confused per se, but I was like, okay, I think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, no, go and bring your phone. So as I was seated there, so I saw a folder there. So there was my name like there, Sikopo. Yeah, and it was quite a thick folder like this. Yeah. So
they didn't tell you the specific story or case they were looking at?
They didn't tell me. So I left and said, okay, I'll come through. So then I tried to engage, some legal people and all that. So I engaged my lawyer. So in the afternoon, I went with my lawyer. So my lawyer said, but my client doesn't want to hand over his phone. So, but they insisted. So now they brought. So in fact, the lawyer was like, "Why do you want him? Or
yes,
why do
which
you want his phone?
offense are you looking at? And
no,
why is the phone relevant to the case?"
So they just insisted, and I refused. So and they say, "Okay, Apa, it's like you are being difficult," and Apa is like, "We will not make progress." Okay, take your client, go. The next thing is that they start calling me. Oh, we know where you stay. We can come and pick you by force. I called my lawyer. Say, so my lawyer was like, in fact, when they call you, just tell them no. Let them call me. So I think for about 2 weeks we're just Tingo Zumba, just pulling each other and all that.
So
What do you finally? I was like, okay, but I think I've not done anything wrong. So like, okay, let me hand over my phone. So I did just that. They got my phone for I think about 3 weeks. Then later on they
returned it.
Yeah, they called, said no, come and pick up your phone. So I feared that I come and pick up your phone. Then
they lock you up.
They lock you up. Yeah. So then the lawyer was like, no, you go. But if anything, we'll know. So yeah. So that is how I went then. So until now, I still do not know.
What they were looking for.
What they were looking for. And just like the experience that I said, when you hear somebody knocking at the gate, you'd start fearing. So you would have, those fears. At some point, the people that are my family and all that. So started fearing also for me. So at some point, I had to sort of like tell them to leave. So that maybe I remain alone. So that in any case of any eventuality and all that, so
they can come through for you,
Yeah, so that maybe they're also not traumatized. It's better maybe I'm getting alone, and the family is not traumatized. Yeah. They can obviously later find out where I'll be taken or whatever will happen to me. But one thing that I didn't want to is to traumatize my family and all that. Yeah. So it was that particular incident that also shook me and all that. After I got the phone, I was like, okay, so I think I just better stop using it.
Well, I see. We are almost coming to an end of this interview, but I want you to talk to the psychological toll that these matters could have left on you and how you handled them. You being called by police, you being detained by police, in no case being filed against you. And also, you also being in confrontation with the former president, Rupiah Banda. You're asking a controversial question to the president then, and he seems angry about that question to do with the mine arrest and all that. We haven't spoken about this story, but it's one of those stories that puts you in an awkward space with the president, and you're also in an awkward space with the party cadres. You are on the other side again in an awkward space with the police. And then on another story again, you sneak into the police cells to pick a story.
Yes. So quite a number of yeah. So let me start with so one time President Rupia Banda had gone to Mfue, and on the Copper Belt, there was some unrest. Miners were sort of like trying to protest and all that, and sort of like down tools and all that. So there was that that unrest in. So the time that he was leaving, it wasn't that tense, but the time that he was coming back, that is when it was tense.
It was heavier.
Yes. So when he returned, and so we were told, okay, from some question and all that, by the team. That's so we just make it quick. So we're just going to ask 2 questions. So those 2 questions were asked. So before he could leave, so I just quickly sneaked in my questions. Your Excellency, you are returning, from Fue, where you went on holiday and all that, on working holiday. There is some unrest around on the Copper Belt. Yeah. So I could see Rupia Banda, his face, changed.
Yeah.
He sort of like, got furious with that question, and he now started coming out now. Where you didn't expect this particular question, and which it is deemed to be negative, about yourself or about what you have done, like like he had just gone maybe to play and leave. So I think that is how I think it touched him.
Yeah.
So that is how he was like, no, but we have been giving our position over this matter. As government, we are dealing with it and all that. So you can't ask us to start repeating the same things and all that. So he was now coming out.
He was changing, yeah.
And then he would add now that nyanja of his and all that. No, to so up was Munga Bomb and all that. So you could see that the man is unsettled. He's
not happy.
Yeah, he's not happy with this thing. And in fact, when just the president finished talking, I was trembling. In fact, the time that I just saw his face changing, I started trembling to say, I don't know what will happen to me now. Especially that I'm close to him, and then his cadres there, his security there and all that. So immediately just finished. That is how I just sneaked out. I was like,
for your life.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, anything can happen. I just sneaked out. I just told the camera person that I was with. By then I was with Mobi TV. So I told the camera person that I was with, so and that is just I just sneaked out of it was at City Airport there. Yeah. So I sneaked out from there, and the camera person came later on, and then we continued. But from there, I think I didn't receive much threats and all that. Yeah, but I think it was just one of those normal and cool things.
So how do you deal with trauma that arises from the course of duty? I think this is my last question. How do you deal with trauma that arises from the course of duty? So
one thing I deal with trauma is that okay, it eats you, and it gets to you. So one thing that I would do is try to sit back and maybe just rest. If not resting, then maybe I will need some social time for myself.
You go drinking?
Of course, I would have one or two just to relieve the stress and all that. Yeah, and then try to figure out the next thing. But we shouldn't resolve to that. But society, the society in which we operate in, makes us resort to maybe let me just maybe seek refuge maybe in a bottle, or let me go and maybe to this particular place, things like that. So but so for me, one thing is that I will try to reflect, and then try to tone down on my work, and obviously of course maybe have some social time and all that. But the key aspect there is just to frame your mind to say things will be okay, or you are okay.
You're doing the right thing.
You're doing the right thing. You're okay. It's just one of those things that would happen. You are on the right course and all that. So it is one of those moments, I think, that I would deal with like that.
Okay, Thank you so much, Arthur, for making it to Beyond News.
Thank you so much.
Your story has been quite interesting. And yeah, though they say there's no story worth dying for, I think you were risking way too far to get into a police cell to tell a story. Yeah.
That is, I think, one of the moments I think maybe I would say, to some certain extent, I would say, okay, maybe I regret a bit. But again, I needed to tell the story.
What was the story then? So, in less than a minute, what was the story?
In less than a minute. So there was an issue that happened in Southern Province. So when Aga Indechilema and others were arrested over the murder of the cook for Mariteta. Mariteta by then was in the Patriotic Front. Yeah.
Yes.
So with my colleague, the two of us, moved from Lusaka to Livingstone, just to go and, cover that particular, moment and all that, because the international community,
were interested,
interested in it. Yeah. So at some point, I got to sneak into a police cell just to, so just to talk to, people that were involved.
Yeah.
So,
and they didn't know.
And
the police didn't know.
They didn't know. So I sneaked in. So I was like pretending to be like one of those that are close around him and all that. Yeah. So we sneaked in, and in fact, the other part was where Garinkombo was like locked. Yeah. And when they was like, Arthur, you're here. Said, yeah, I'm here. So it is one of those moments that I would remember, yeah. But
that you were a bit careless.
Yeah, I was a bit careless.
Wow. Thank you so much for coming through. And thank you, viewers, for staying tuned and listening to the amazing story by our multiple and international award-winning journalist with more than 20 years experience in the media and now freelancing with South African media entities. My guest has been Arthur Davies Sikopo. And I've been your host, Mwape Kumwenda. I wish to sincerely thank my makeup artist, Nami Studios, for the work done on my face. And I wish also to thank my production team for the amazing work. Keep watching Crown Television and continue feeling the honor. Until we meet next time on another special edition of Beyond News. God bless. Thank you.